We at Edukemy helped in fulfilling the dreams of 51 UPSC 2020 toppers. If you too have a dream to crack the UPSC examination, subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay up to date with your UPSC preparation. क्योंकि तैयारी आपकी, जिम्मेदारी हमारी।
Hello everyone, I am Srivastava. Welcome to Edukemy's YouTube page, where Edukemy comes up with a lot of videos to help you and guide you in your civil services examination preparation. So, in order to remain up to date with your preparation along with Edukemy, like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Famously said by Swami Vivekananda, you can't merely cross the sea by just standing and staring the water. Absolutely true, especially for your civil services examination. So you must get up, work hard and work smart to clear this exam. And we are here to guide you with another video which focuses on the following topic. The topic of our discussion today is how to approach compulsory papers of English and the Indian language in UPSC Mains examination. Dear friends, once you clear prelims, you get an opportunity to write Mains examination, where there are two kinds of compulsory papers. One is the English and the other is any Indian language in the 8th schedule. So I'm here to discuss about that topic today. So allow me to start today's discussion. So what do you get in this video? We are going to discuss the format of the compulsory papers. After that, I'll talk about the content of the paper, as in what is the syllabus, what topics are asked. And finally, I'll give you certain essential tips for both the English and the Indian language paper. Let us first start by compulsory Indian language paper. As you can see on the screen, there is the front page of the Indian language paper. I chose Hindi, so this is a sample for Hindi as a language. You can take up any language in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. So this paper is compulsory, means you have to attempt, and this is known as paper A of the Indian language paper. Important point to highlight here is that this is qualifying in nature. That is to say that the marks of this particular paper is not added in your merit list. It's just that you have to qualify it. But what is important? That you have to clear it. Unless you clear it, the other papers won't matter. Okay, so that is why this is an important paper to pay attention to. What is the qualifying part here, or what are the marks which are required to clear this paper? You can pass this paper by getting at least 25% of the total marks. That is, say, 75 out of 300 marks. So if you see this paper, this is of 3 hours and total marks here is 300. So 3 hours paper, 300 marks, and you have to get at least 25 of the total, which makes it 75 out of 300. So you see, you do not have to work very hard in it. Bare minimum knowledge about your language will suffice. Moving on to the next slide, as you see, as I've already discussed, that the total marks for the paper is 300 and the number of hours here are 3 hours. Now, I have taken the example of Hindi as a language, which is a compulsory language. You can pick up any language which is there in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Okay, now you can write in the comment box if you want what are the 8th schedule languages. I'm sure your polity teacher must have taught you, or you must be knowing it. It is something which every Indian should know. All right. So how many languages are there in the 8th schedule? That's a homework for you. Now, What is more important here to highlight is that this paper is not compulsory for candidates from states like Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Sikkim. All right, so this is one point which you should remember. Now, what is the content of this Indian language paper? So you have the essay, which is for 100 marks. Then you have a reading comprehension, which is of 60 marks. So essay, then the comprehension. Then you have Prezi writings, which is for 60 marks again. So 100, 60, 60. Then there is some areas which is related to the translation. Now, if I go by parts, translation from English to the compulsory language chosen is for 20 marks. Translating the compulsory Indian language to English is again for 20 marks. So there are both the ways that you have to do it. Then usage of grammar and basic language is for 40 marks. All right. So we have 40 marks here, 20 marks here, 20 marks here, 60 marks here, 60 marks here, 100 marks here. So you see, you have to get only 25% of the all. All right, so the task is not very difficult. I hope you understand that. Moving ahead. Another important point. You don't have to be a genius of the Indian language. I know a lot of people after class 10th or after class 12th have not studied properly their Indian language. You don't need to worry. Because what is asked here is of class 10th level. Okay, so class 10th or equivalent standards questions are being asked. So important point which is highlighted here that you don't need to compromise on your core subject preparation. Core subject as in GS, optional, essay. Do not compromise on that. Okay, this can be prepared lightly, after your prelims is done for a few days or weeks, you can do with it. Select the language that you have learned in the school. Okay, do not go by what people say. Just select the topic, select the language which you've studied in the school. That will be more beneficial to you. So, my advice is that the CBSE school level book of class 10th will be sufficient for you for the preparation of this language. I always feel that, though this paper is easy to qualify, but there are a few people who are unable to qualify it. So there are some general tips which you can apply while preparing for this paper. For example, apart from your regular newspaper, which you read, say in English, try to read a newspaper of your own language, the language which you're going to opt here. And do not give more than 15-20 minutes to it. Just in order to get in practice of that language, newspaper of that language will help you. Second, write and practice. Remember, this is an examination which is going to test your writing skill. So you need to write and practice for this exam. Past year question papers, you can practice a lot of time. That helps you more than, the conventional preparation. So past year question papers are going to be really helpful for you. Finally, practice translating from English to the regional language and vice versa. As we have seen in the content of the question paper, that they ask questions vice versa translation, English to the language, language to English. So that practice, if you do, it's more than enough. And finally, which I also advise to my students, this examination is not testing your handwriting, but there should be a basic legibility and understanding of the writing, all right, which actually adds to your answer sheet, and definitely a neat writing will always count. So try to write neat if not beautiful. That was about the compulsory language paper. As I said that I chose Hindi as a model. You can choose any of the 8 scheduled language paper. Now let's talk about compulsory English language paper. Compulsory English, because English is a compulsory language paper which all the students have to give. So the UPSC main examination consists of 9 papers, out of which 1 is the English language paper. compulsory and is of qualifying nature. As we mentioned in the language paper also, that English is also a compulsory paper which all of you have to attempt, and it's qualifying in nature, similarly as we discussed in the language paper. What are the objectives of this paper? Once you know what this paper is for, what are the objectives, it will help you to prepare properly from that perspective. For example, it to assess a candidate's ability to read, understand serious descriptive prose. When you become an administrator also, you have to read important documents, sometimes important things which are from the perspective of common man and people. So you have to understand the simple descriptive prose, and that is where this paper tests you. Also to assess a candidate's ability to express his or her ideas correctly and clearly. Right usage of words, simple words, not complex language. That is what is expected from a future administrator who's able to express his views to a common man. And that is why this is what is the agenda of conducting this paper, examination of this English paper. So as you see here that I have given you a sample of the front page. Again, time allotted is 3 hours, maximum marks is 300. Moving ahead. Here also you need to have a knowledge of class 10th or equivalent, the matriculation or equivalent standard. So again, to put it on records, that you don't need to be an expert or a journalist or a novelist who's writing in English. A lot of people are afraid of the language. So I am making it very clear in the very beginning that you have to have a basic understanding of the language. Minimum marks, 75 out of 300, that's what you need. So it's not much, all right, it's not much. If you strategize properly, you can clearly do it. See how? You need just 75 marks, essay is of 100 marks, comprehension is of 75 marks, preface is of 75 marks, and rest is grammar. So, you don't need to top in this examination, you just need to qualify it. Choose wisely. If you are good in comprehension, start it with. If you're good in grammar, start with grammar. If you're good in essay, start with that. My advice is that you can keep essay for the last 45 minutes or so. So choose wisely according to your strengths and just get that minimum marks or go above it, and you don't need to worry because the marks of this paper is not going to be counted. Now, here also, I would give you some tips, which are general tips, but if you remember them and you apply in your preparatory strategy, you're going to be benefited. For example, you have to know the basic English grammar well. That's the basic thing which you know. Because when you study class 10th English, class 10th level English, it provides with you the basic English grammar. And that is what you have to know. You should write neatly. That is one thing which I always tell people. If not beautiful, at least neat writing is a must. Then do not make spelling mistakes. This is a complete no-no. No spelling mistakes, please, because after all, this is a language paper. So advisable that do not use complex words. Okay, use simple words. Why to, go to that path of committing mistakes? Have clarity in your answers. That is also very important, that you need to have clarity in your answers, and improve your vocabulary by reading newspaper and other books. So watch good news, read good newspapers and other books, try to converse in English with your friends in your family. All this is more than enough to clear this paper. Remember, all this seems, if you listen, it seems very easy. But don't forget, this is an important compulsory paper, in fact, both of them, and you have to qualify it. So, do not take it very lightly, but do not compromise it with the study of the core subjects, which are GS and essay and your optional. All right, that's all for today for discussing about these compulsory papers. And there were certain requests that I should talk about it, so we've come up with it. You know, there has been a very popular poem in Hindi, and I thought I must talk about it. The two lines which are very catchy are that लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. You do not have to be afraid of waves and tides if you have to cross your boat. If you are working hard, if you're working smart, with perseverance and patience, you will definitely win. कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. So, if you like this video, like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. We at Edukemy believe in one phrase, which is तैयारी आपकी, जिम्मेदारी हमारी. With that thought, I'm Srivastava signing off until the next video. Bye-bye.